what's up fam, and welcome back to a new bullet journal video. In my last flip through video, I asked you guys whether you were interested in a video only focused on the Calendex and the way I use the Calendex page in my bullet journal. So in today's video, I'm going to go through all of the Calendex spreads that I've used ever since September 2016, as you can see here, and I'm going to show you exactly how I use the spread, and I'm going to give you all the tips and tricks that I've been using over the past years with the spread. Of course, before we get started, the Calendex spread is an idea of Eddy Hope, and I'm gonna leave in the description box down below all of the links to go check out the article that he wrote on the official bullet journal blog, as well as his Instagram page and all of the information so that we can credit the person who actually came up with the system. For those of you who don't know what the Calendex is, the Calendex is a spread that you can use in your bullet journal that focuses on time, and in particular, it was first created in order to solve some of the problems that came with the regular future log. In fact, one of the main concerns of the bullet journal system is that since you start with a blank journal, it can be kind of hard to plan things in advance and to keep track of the future events that are gonna come up. Usually in a regular planner, everything is already set up for you. So if you need to log some sort of information to a specific month, to a specific day, you will just flip through that page and log the information there. But within the bullet journal system, when you set up your pages as you go, that could be problematic. However, there are ways to do future planning and to log in future information within your journal, and the Calendex is a great solution for that. As you can see, the Calendex is divided into columns, and each column represents a month. As I zoom here, as you can see, this is the month of September, and here on the side you have the numbers that represent the days of the month. Next to the days, I also put the name of the day of the week so that I know if it's a jeudi, vendredi, samedi, dimanche, if it's a Monday, Tuesday, etc. As you can see here, I always put a trait on a Sunday so that I can divide each week, and this is very helpful. I highly recommend doing that because this way, as you can see very clearly how many weeks you are into the month, or how many weeks away you are from a certain deadline, for example. Something that I usually do is to put the number on this side as well as on the other side, so that it's easier for me to know where I am. And as you can see here in this Calendex, I actually put the days of the week next to each column. Of course, that's not mandatory, and as you will see in the other Calendex, sometimes I did change this setup a little bit. According to the official Calendex created by Eddy Hope, the way that you use your Calendex is to log in each day the number of the page in which you stored a certain information. However, that's not necessarily how I personally used the Calendex, especially when I first started. However, in order to give you a concrete example of how the original, the traditional Calendex system work, I'm going to jump into another Calendex from 2017-2018. As you can see here, I filled a specific day with a box and a number inside it. And this number represents the number of the page within the journal where the information is stored. So for example, here 77 tells me that that information is stored on page 77. So if I flip through page 77, I'll be able to see what this is all about. And as you can see here on page 77, I had put a signifier, a C, that stood for Calendex, and here I have the description of the information and the day. So I turned a note entry into a Calendex entry, and then I reported that this information was on page 77 in my Calendex. The traditional way of using my Calendex can be very effective if you need to log in information with a lot of details, or if you have multiple information that you have to log in for a given day. But in my case, since I am still a student, most of the time the only thing that I needed to do really was to just log the information within my Calendex. And in order to make things more clear for me, I used a lot of color coding. As we go back here to September 2016, I want to zoom in here on this part, on my color coding system here on the side. As you can see, I had divided my entries into school, so everything that was related to university, personal here, work, financial, and then holidays. Whenever I had to log in information with my Calendex, I would use all the different colors, and this made it very easy for me to understand what kind of information that was, and this color coding system actually worked pretty well for me. Something that I also used a lot, as you can see here, was to use some small symbols or letters to indicate recurrent events. As you can see here, the F was for the restaurant where I was working at, and whenever I worked at the restaurant, I just add a letter here. I also used these symbols here whenever I had bills to pay or whenever there was some incoming money. I used the Calendex for logging in all of the birthdays and special occasion. All the red ones here are the exams for university. And not only did I use the color for all the different entries, but also for classifying different periods of time. Let me be more explicit here. The red was for exams, and as you can see here in January, from the 3rd of January till the 14th of January, this was the whole exam session, and I used the red to actually define this area here in red so that I knew that this was all the exam time. Similarly, I used the orange for vacation, and as you can see here, I was in vacation as well as down here. This way of using colors was very effective because I knew that here I was on holidays, but at the same time I could still log in different kind of information. Here the blue means that I still had class, here class is finished. And overall, this color coding system worked very, very well, and up till now, I still use this color coding system within my Calendex. As for the number of months that you should put in your Calendex, that really depends on you, on your needs, on how long you plan on using that specific journal. As you can see here, I had 5 months, but in other journals, as you'll see in a second, sometimes I have 3, sometimes I have 6. As we have a look at the second Calendex from December 2016 all the way till April 2017, as you can see, I actually transferred a lot of information from the previous Calendex to this new Calendex, and here it was pretty similar, but something that I did change that I found very, very useful was to color in the column. Just like in the previous Calendex, I used red for my exams and orange for the holidays. Here what I did instead was to color here the column that I use for the days of the week with the according colors. So this way it makes it very clear what each period of time is about. But besides that, as you can see, I kept on using the coloring system, which was being very, very useful for me. Also, as you can see here, sometimes I would use some arrows if there were some events that would continue in time. For example, here, my cousin was in Paris, and I knew that she was staying there from Wednesday all the way to Saturday, so I put an arrow there, meaning that this event lasts these 4 days. As we move on to my third Calendex in here, as you can see, I started doing something different with the spread. I started doing this Calendex hybrid spread. Since I really like both views, because here it's very compact and you can have a lot of months at once, at the same time I do enjoy a lot the Calendex view because I know exactly the number of weeks that I have before certain dates. So for example, if one day, let's say here, I have to go to Rouen to visit Caitlin over Sunset and Stationery, shout out to Caitlin, and let's say I'm here in this week, I know that I still have 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks before that. I really like to have this vision in here. So what I decided to do is to have less months in my Calendex. As you can see, I only had June, July, and August, and to keep the calendar in here. And these two spreads really worked together. I used the calendar in here to color specific weeks according to this color coding system that you can see here. So I had exams, my internship, and holidays. The circles that you can see here are for birthdays in purple and red for exams. And actually the description of these is in the Calendex spread in here. So I know, for example, that here on the 1st and on the 9th I had exams, and as we can see here, we do have exams in here. And in the Calendex here, I did not use it as much because it was during the summer, and besides my internship, I was not doing really that much, but I still kept the same concept and I still used the color here in the column on the two sides. As we move on to the next Calendex, I kept on experimenting with the calendar/Calendex hybrid spread, and here something new, as you can see, is that I have this section down here here. Here we go from September all the way to February, and I was missing a section for all of those things that were coming after February. So the section down here is a mini future log where I just put here the date and a quick description of the information. And since I did not have these months in my Calendex, I couldn't really log this information in here. However, as we can see here, something new that I tried in this Calendex was to use the original Calendex system explained by Eddy Hope. So as I showed you before, I used boxes with numbers that represented the number of the page, and I also use a color coding system for the boxes that we can see down here. So the blue was for all my university related entries, the purple was for personal, and the green ones were for work. But sometimes I did have some entries that did not fall into any of these three categories, as well as these ones here that help me keep track of my YouTube videos. So when I posted a YouTube video and when I posted a blog post on my blog, which is something that I actually stopped using after a while because I did not find it very useful. So if we have a look in here, I know that here I have a work-related entry, this one is personal, and all the other ones are related to university because they are blue. Moving on to my next bullet journal, here is where I actually found, in my opinion, the best balance and the best way of using my Calendex, which is a hybrid Calendex future log. Before I zoom in, as you can see here, June, July, August, I did not use it that much because that's where I went to Brazil. And Brazil was a big question mark. I really had no idea what was gonna happen in Brazil, and that's why it's mainly blank. As we have a look here on the side, I kept the color for the columns, so I knew when I was on holiday, when I had exams. I kept on using arrows so that I knew what kind of events lasted in time. So here I was back to Italy. This one time I used boxes, but as you can see, I don't have numbers, and I'm gonna explain in a second. There are still colors to help me identify personal from university and other kind of entries. I also still logged in here the birthdays, and something new that you can see in here are pictograms or small letters. In this Calendex here, I use the green for university, and in fact, all of these letters or pictograms represent a specific class. This one here, for example, is my English class. These ones here are other classes. Here, as you can see, it's red, so it was an examination, and the zhong means that it was for a Chinese class that I had. Now you may ask why there is no number in here and where the information actually is. And here's where the future log actually comes into the equation. Something that I did not really like about the traditional Calendex system was the fact of having to flip through my journal in order to look for the information. So something that I decided to do is to have both the Calendex and the future log so that I could use these pages here in order to log the information that it's here. So here on the Calendex, I have small symbols that tell me, hey Ricardo, there is something coming up this day for university for this specific subject, and the information about it, it's here. So I just need to literally flip the page. So for example, I know that in March, I have all of these entries here, and as I flip through, I have March, and I can zoom, and boom, here I have the description of everything that's coming up, you know, the deadlines and everything that's coming up that month. I also decided to keep a full 2-page spread only for the Calendex, just in case I had to log something until August, because I felt the 3 months was too short in my previous Calendex pages. And in all honesty, this system works the best for me, because I have enough space in here to enter all the information of all my upcoming events, and here I still have the big Calendex overview of my upcoming 6 months. And finally, as we have a look here at my current Calendex, I still use the color coding system, which is explained down here. Holidays, exams, project, class, and personal. I have colored each week here on the side with a recurring color. Something that you can notice here is that I don't really have a lot of entries, and now what I tend to do is to just log the information in here. So my Calendex may still evolve in time, but right now I do believe that the best system templates for me as the one that I showed you right here, which is in my opinion the most effective combination of color coding, Calendex and Futurelog. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the video. I'm going to take this time to thank my beautiful mega boosted Patreon supporters. Thank you so much to Dawn, Karina, Laura, Mariah, Maraika, and Paula for the support. If you want to support the page, feel free to check out the Patreon page down below. We do weekly live journaling videos. I also film some extra, very special Patreon-only videos and some other more personal videos about my life. And we also do every month the monthly Plan With Me live on Patreon before it comes on YouTube. So I hope that you enjoyed the video. Please let me know in a comment down below what your thoughts are about the Calendex. Did you find this video useful? Do you still have some questions about the Calendex? Feel free to leave all of those in the comment section down below. And I hope that you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day wherever you are. And as usual, stay boosted.
No.